Hi everyone, I'd just like to welcome you back to the channel. What we've been discussing lately is the timing of the rapture. And so you might ask, well, why is it important that we know the timing of the rapture? And I would say that it's important because we need to know whether we're going through tribulation or not. If we're going through it, then we need to know so we'll be prepared for that. And I guess the verse I'd look at to show that is that in John 16:1, Jesus says, "I've told you these things that you might not fall away." So, and before that, he had been warning about persecution, and so Jesus thought it was important to let us know that we're going to go through persecution so that we wouldn't fall away. So I believe it's the same with the end times here. If we know we're going to go through persecution, we'll be in better standing to be able to go through that. A lot of times, if we don't think we're going to go through something and then hard times come, we kind of give up. And so I don't want any of you to do that. And so I want to show how Scripture clearly says that we are going to go through the tribulation. And really, when you look at all the verses in the Bible, if you have the proper position on when Christ is coming back, on when the rapture happens, then all the verses will fit in. And so there'll be no need to cut and paste or make up different ideas. It'll all just fit in beautifully, which it does if you have a post-trib rapture position. So just for a little bit of a review, so we looked at we did word searches on 3 different words. The first one is resurrection. And we found in conclusion that in Revelation 20, verse 4 and 5, so after the tribulation, it said this is the first resurrection. And so every time you have a rapture, you have a resurrection, because those who are in the graves come out. The believers in the graves come out, and so they're resurrected. So it says the first resurrection is in Revelation 20, verse 4 and 5, after the tribulation. So therefore, you cannot have a rapture before that time. It has to be post-trib. The next word we looked at was thief. And we found out in Revelation 16, verse 15, that Jesus says, behold, I am coming like a thief. And so he hasn't come yet. He's still coming like a thief. And so again, that's after the tribulation. And so he couldn't have come before. He's coming then as a thief. And so all the scriptures about the thief point to that time. Then the last one we talked about the trumpet. So the last trumpet we seen was in Revelation, the 7th trumpet, which is the last one, is in Revelation 11, verse 15 and following there. And it says that God's wrath came, the time for the dead to be judged, and for rewarding the saints. So that was at the end of the tribulation. That's when those things happen. So it's not some time before that in pre-trib or mid-trib or pre-wrath. It's all pointing to after the tribulation. So this week, today, we're going to look about the wedding feast. Now, there's lots of people who think, especially in the pre-trib position, well, they're just going to go to heaven, and then they're going to celebrate the marriage supper of the Lamb up there, or have a good time up there in the 7 years while everybody else is being having a hard time on earth, being persecuted. So let's look at when the wedding feast is going to take place. And so the first verse we're going to look at is Matthew 8, verse 5 to 12. And so we'll just read that. When he had entered Capernaum, a centurion came forward to him, appealing to him, Lord, my servant is lying paralyzed at home, suffering terribly. And he said to him, I will come and heal him. But the centurion replied, Lord, I am not worthy to have you come under my roof, but only say the word, and my servant will be healed. For I too am a man under authority, with soldiers under me. And I say to one, go, and he goes, and to the other, come, and he comes. And to my servant, do this, and he does it. When Jesus heard this, he marveled and said to those who followed him, truly I tell you, with no one in Israel have I found such faith. I tell you, many will come from the east and the west and recline at the table with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven, while the sons of the kingdom will be thrown into outer darkness, in a place where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Okay, a couple of things I want us to realize as we read this passage here. The first thing, so he's talking to a centurion here who is a Gentile. And actually, if we look in Luke, it tells us more, and it says The Jews that came to Jesus asking him to help this guy said he loves our nation, and he built our synagogue for us. So here's a Gentile who loved the Jewish nation, and Jesus says to him that many will come from the east and the west and recline at the table. And so here he's talking about the centurion. He has such great faith. He's going to come and dine together with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. So first off, this kind of throws some those who believe that somehow earth is going to be where all the Jewish people are, and then in heaven's all the church people, church age people. This clearly throws a wrench into that, doesn't it? Because here a Gentile is going to be celebrating with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We're going to recline at the table with them. So that's the first thing to notice, how that just shows that's not what's going to be happening as far as if you think there's going to be a separation. Next, we look at, okay, when is this taking place? It says, while the sons of the kingdom will be thrown into outer darkness, in a place where there'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So here's the division. So some are going to recline at the table, and some are going to be thrown to where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. And so when is that happening? Well, it happens at the end of the age, doesn't it? It happens after the tribulation. So next, let's look at Matthew 22, 1 to 14. We'll just read those verses. And again, Jesus spoke to him in parables, saying, the kingdom of heaven may be compared to a king who gave a wedding feast for his son, and sent his servants to call those who were invited to the wedding feast, but they would not come. Again, he sent other servants, saying, tell those who are invited, see, I have prepared my dinner, my oxen and my fat calves have been slaughtered, and everything is ready. Come to the wedding feast. But they paid no attention and went off, one to his farm, another to his business, while the rest seized his servants, treated them shamefully, and killed them. The king was angry, and he sent his troops and destroyed those murderers and burnt their city. Then he said to his servants, the wedding feast is ready, but those invited are not worthy. Go, therefore, to the main roads and invite to the wedding feast as many as you find. And those servants went out into the roads and gathered all whom they found, both good and bad. So the wedding hall was filled with guests. But when the king came to look at the guests, he saw there was a man who had no wedding garment. And he said to him, friend, how did you get in here without a wedding garment? And he was speechless. Then the king said to the attendants, bind him hand and foot, and cast him into utter darkness. In a place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth, for many are called, but few are chosen. So here again, we have the same scenario as far as time. There's some that are going into the feast, and then some that are thrown into outer darkness, where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. So this happens at the end. It's not sometime when there's some people have been raptured to heaven and they're having a good time there. No, this is at the end. And so the separation is those who are reclining and dining, having that feast, and those who are put into outer darkness at the same time. And then if we look at the next one, Matthew chapter 25, verse 1 to 13. And so this is the parable of the 10 virgins. So verses 1 to 13. Then the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish and 5 were wise. When the foolish took their lamps, they took no oil with them, but the wise took flasks of oil with them. As the bridegroom was delayed, they all became drowsy and slept. But at midnight, here was a cry, here is the bridegroom, come out to meet him. Then all those virgins rose and trimmed their lamps, and the foolish said to the wise, give us some of your oil, for our lamps are going out. But the wise answered, saying, since there will not be enough for us and for you, go rather to the dealers and buy for yourselves. And while they were going to buy, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready went in with him to the marriage feast. And the door was shut. Afterwards other virgins came also, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us. But he answered, truly I say to you, I do not know you. Watch therefore, for you do not know neither the day nor the hour. Now if you look at the context of of these verses, it's after chapter 24 when Jesus said that he came back with his angels, 24 verse 30, and then will appear a sign, in heaven, the sign of the Son of Man, and then all the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. So here he's saying this is what it's going to be like when he returns at the end of the tribulation there. And so this is the context, the timing of when this happens. And you'll see if you go further down to Matthew 25, verse 31, it says, "Then when the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him." So the whole passage here from 24 on through all 25 is talking about what it's going to be like when he returns. And so this is in the midst of that. Another thing I want to point out here is if you look at 13, it says, "Watch therefore, for you know neither the day or the hour." So the whole idea of this parable of the 10 virgins is to get them to be watching, to get us to be watching. So you can get into all kinds of theories about the oil and the Holy Spirit and stuff. He says this is about. Watch therefore. This is the whole point of this parable. Watch, because if you don't watch and you're not ready, you're not going to be in. And so here again we see the separation: those who went in with the bridegroom and those who are outside. And those outside, Jesus said, "I do not know you." So when he says that to you at the end of time, that means you're going to hell. You're going to be separated from him. So he doesn't know you. So very important that we are ready when he comes. So the next one we're going to look at is Revelation 19:7. But actually, we'll look at Revelation 15:1 just to get a bit of a context for the timing of this one, because there might be some confusion on that. People sometimes, Revelation is easy to get confused at, and I think all of us struggle with understanding it. But if we go to 15 verse 1, he gives us a clear statement of what's going on. So then I saw another sign in heaven, great and amazing, 7 angels with 7 plagues. Now listen to this, which are the last, for with them the wrath of God is finished. So we know when the 7th bowl is completed, his wrath here in the tribulation is done. And so then in chapter 16, we have the 7 bowls, and they end at the end of chapter 16. And so when we flip over to chapter 19, verse 7 and 8, we know, based on this, that God's wrath has already come because the bowls have already been completed. So this is when this takes place. It happens after that. So let's just read those verses. "Let us rejoice and exult and give him glory. For the marriage of the Lamb has come. The bride has made herself ready. It was granted her to clothe herself with fine linen, bright and pure. For the fine linen is the righteous deeds of the saints. And the angel said to me, Write this, Blessed are those who are invited to the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he said to me, These are the true words of God." So that's actually reading verse 9 as well. So the marriage supper of the Lamb is taking place at the end, after God's wrath has come. So all these passages fit perfectly. There's no variation on the timing. It happens at the end of the tribulation. So you don't have to wonder if or somebody going to have a marriage supper of the Lamb in heaven when they're raptured ahead of time. No, that's not happening. Here he clearly says all these passages point to the end of the tribulation, to the end of this age. That's when the marriage feast is. Now, if we just look at a couple more verses, just maybe to kind of solidify it a bit more. If we look at Matthew 26 here, we'll flip back to Matthew 26 to 29. Now, as they were eating, Jesus took bread, and after blessing it, broke it and gave it to the disciples and said, Take, eat, this is my body. And he took the cup, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to them, saying, Drink of it, all of you, for this is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sin. I tell you, I will not drink again of the fruit of the vine until the day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. So Jesus is not going to be having any wine until he drinks it with his disciples anew in his Father's kingdom. So just in case you might disagree when the Father's kingdom is, let's look at Matthew 13, 39 to 43. And the enemy who sowed them is the devil, and the harvest is the end of the age. The reapers are angels. Just as the weeds were gathered and burned with fire, so it will be at the end of the age. The Son of Man will send his angels, and they will gather out of his kingdom all cause of sin and all lawbreakers, and throw them into the fiery furnace, into the dark. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. He who has ears, let him hear. So the kingdom of the Father is coming when those at the end of the age, when summer will be thrown where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. So Jesus here in Matthew 26 is saying, I'm not going to have any fruit of the vine until after the tribulation, until the Father kingdom starts. And so anybody who thinks they're going to be raptured in a pre-trib rapture and have the marriage supper of the Lamb with Jesus in heaven, well, then they'd have to have it when Jesus isn't drinking any wine. So I'm pretty sure when we're looking forward to such a great day as a marriage supper of the Lamb, that Jesus is going to be enjoying it along with his bride. He's not going to be sitting on the side saying, no, I can't drink this yet. And I know at times when I've fasted, and it's kind of a awkward situation if you, the family, are eating and you're not. It's not the nicest situation. And if I'm around somebody who's fasting, I kind of feel bad because I'm eating, right? And so it's the same thing. Jesus is not going to be off not having any wine, and we're all going to be having a party. No, this is happening at the end of the tribulation, and we'll all be enjoying it together. It'll be a great day. Look forward to that day. So yeah, just thank you for listening today, and I just encourage you to persevere, whatever comes. God bless you. Thank you.